Today, I went to the epicentre of Britain's flag war. It's a town called Faversham in Kent, where locals have been putting up this country's flag. But the flags are being torn down, and locals say that there are also concerns about illegal immigration and, crucially, their children's safety, and that they are not being listened to. So here's what they had to say. Welcome to Faversham, which is the epicentre of the flag wars. Just over my shoulder here, you will see a desecrated St George's Cross. Now, what's happening is that locals have been coming out, putting up the flags of our great country on lampposts and various other places, and then in the dead of night, other people have been coming to take them down.
For me, the flags, it unifies everything together, right? So we don't need to be flying these Palestine flags. We don't need to be flying the rainbow flags because we have our country, which is all of us together. So what's getting me is I'm just so confused why people don't like the flag and why people are getting offended by the flag and why they are calling the flag racist. I don't think any of their counter-arguments have any grounds. So I'm just concerned to the ideologies that are bringing the flags down.
I have 4 young children that attend Bisenwood School, and yeah, I mean, we drop them off every day. I mean, to think that they're going to be safe and, you know, well cared for in an area where, you know, 10 steps away they're housing immigrants that are illegal and undocumented, dangerous men, in my personal opinion.
The thing that I like about the flags is that we're trying to remind everyone that this country's got a great history and a great culture, and it shouldn't be erased. We should be learning this at school from a young age, because there's a lot of countries around that would like to have our history and our culture that we have in this country today.
I mean, I've got a flag flying from my house, and they had, you know, the audacity to go and stick a sticker on my back fence that basically states that we all bleed the same. You know, and you'll be able to see that later on, that where I ripped the sticker off from and where my flag is. But, you know, that's, to me, that's, you know, that's a threat.
My daughter, she gets scared to come up to the park anymore. She can't play up here no more. I don't know. There's one set of a street that they're allowed in is down the avenue where all the kids go now to play because they feel scared and to come up to their own park.
We've got to get Great Britain back to being Great Britain again. I mean, our grandparents, most of us here, would have probably fought in the war for this country, and it's as though now, well, they fought to keep the borders safe, and now the borders ain't safe no more. They're just letting anybody come in.
This building here, Acacia Court, now it's a former care home that is currently being used to house what locals are told are child asylum seekers.
We are very proud of our flags and things like that because obviously it's our heritage, it's our values, you know, it's where we come from. We should be allowed to be proud of where we come from. And also, you know, flying all the flags like we have been, it's bringing communities together, it's bringing people together, and they're starting to remember again who we are and why we should be proud of this country.
The Union flag has been used as a weapon against the far right or whatever by left-wing groups and hate groups, and that's a disgrace. They're trying to divide and conquer our nation.
See if anyone answers. OK, so let's just have a little look at why some of those locals are worried and why they feel part of the need to just reinstate the fact that, you know, we're British, we're in Britain, here's our flag. This is how close that illegal migrant centre is to the local primary school. Have you got kids at this school? You've got 2 children in this school?
One's 10 and one's 7.
OK, and are you scared about this being here, given the proximity to that school?
Yeah.
And hang on a minute, is that the school right there?
That is the school there.
Let's have a look.
But the thing is, we found out also as well that planning permission has now been granted for that one to be opened up into another centre. So they're going to have 2 centres within a stone's throw away from the school. This is the school here. And that's the back of it here. So all that separates the asylum accommodation and the school is this short footpath.
For one, I've got screenshots from the KCC's messages that most of these come here by a small dinghy with no documentation. Now, they They're alleged 16, 17 years old. Well, what I'm looking at there is men clearly in their 20s, possibly 30 years old, with face hair, with cigarettes in their hands, and this is how they sit about on the estate, and this is what's caused absolute destruction of the community around here. Now, there is some what do look 80, 90 years old, but there is many what look like this, and the vast majority of them look exactly like this. I can go back a little step here. I've been arrested for this, for saying that we don't want this here. They'll bring their third world mannerism here, and at the end of the day, we can't tolerate this, right? I got arrested for that, and I did get released without charge.
Was that because you could say that on a Facebook post or something?
Yes, I shared that out there, said that, listen, we've got to get petitions going.
Some girls, they was having their photographs taken by these non-English speaking men, touching them, asking them to go and do sexual activities. They're underage girls, and these are quite older men. Yeah, that's a place, that's a fun fair where kids go to have fun, and I don't want to go out in the dark anymore. I don't feel safe. You just sort of have to keep your eye everywhere because you don't know what's going to happen next. The amount of rapes you hear about nowadays, and you don't know what's going to happen, especially being a young female. It's uncomfortable. Yes.
But you've actually seen people who've been coming to take some of these flags down, and you know it's a very interesting thing about them. Go on.
Yeah, there was a group of 4 males carrying a big machete, taking the flag down. So I've gone over and said, can I have the flag? It's our country's flag. And he was stood there with a big machete in his hand, and that was an English person.
Sorry, but you're not allowed to walk around with a machete.
No, exactly. But we're called the aggressive ones. The people who wear the flags, put our flags up, we're called the aggressive ones.
So look, you just heard it there, that locals are afraid about foreign men hanging around outside the local primary school. So I decided to wait for a little bit and just see what might happen. We came across these 2 lads who told us that they were from Iraq. I had a very brief chat with them, and then we noticed them wandering off towards the primary school. 2 lads there. I was looking through the fence at children playing in the park, in the school, sorry. Just interesting, isn't it, that there's not really a train station around here. And we've spoken to those lads. They said that they were from Iraq. They both said that they were 17 years old. Looked like they could have been around that age, possibly a little bit older. And they said that they weren't staying here. They were visiting a friend. All right. But they've just walked down that path there, had a good look through the railings at some of the children that are playing games in the field from the local school, and off they pop down the alleyway there. Yeah, why would you want to look through the school railings? And just as well to say that there were children playing in that school field at that time that we shot that footage. Let's get the thoughts of my panel. We go to GB News contributor Will Kingston, former Tory MP Jonathan Gullis, and Labour Party activist Susie Stride. Will, yeah, I mean, so there's a number of reasons why people wanted to kind of hoist the flag there, really. It wasn't just about immigration. There's generally kind of a bit of pushback about the state of Britain as a whole. But some of those concerns there about those young foreign lads hanging outside around a school, I mean, contrast immediately came true.
Mm-hmm. Well, number one, that was uncomfortable but very important reporting, Patrick, so well done. There is an awareness week coming up at the end of this month, Patrick. Panel, I'll open it up. Do you know what the awareness week is for?
Oh, grief, I don't know. Go on, it could be anything.
Asexual Awareness Week.
Lovely.
And I promise you guys I'm going somewhere with this.
OK.
Asexual Awareness Week. People have no sexual attraction to anyone. They've got a flag, as with every other one of the LGBTQ+, as with Palestine, as with all the rainbow stuff. The left love flags. They have flags for everything. And you know what? I don't see people on the right tearing down flags. I don't see people going down Regent Street tearing down the rainbow flags. The thing that really annoys me about this is the moral arrogance to say, I know why you're putting that flag up, because you must be far right. I know your intention, you must be far right. Forget for a second that it is just disgusting to disrespect a flag that soldiers have fought and died for. It is the arrogance to say, I know what better than you, I have a moral position that's superior to you, and as a result of that, I'm going to tear this flag down and put my position above yours. That's the thing that really, really annoys me.
Susie, what do you make of it? Because, you know, there are people there apparently with machetes who spend their evenings covering up their number plates and driving around there with masks on, taking down the flag, because they say that they feel that there's a racist, divisive undertone to it. What do you think?
I think that this is not straightforward, but in some ways it is straightforward. So I love the British flag. I'm, you know, very happy to have it up, same as Keir Starmer. Let's have the flag, let's fly the flag. I'm proud of this country. This is a great country. We've probably all, well, I would say visited countries that maybe aren't so great, but, you know, we've got a great country here. However, I also remember the 90s on the Isle of Dogs where we had the BNP. And I remember skinheads walking up and down the streets, and I remember the misuse of the flag and them trying to take the flag for what they were about. And now that is one extreme over there. You've got another extreme of people saying, oh, they should all come down. And I think as a country, we're not actually an extremist country. And what I want to be really careful of is that we celebrate the flag, very important, but it doesn't it's not used as a tool of intimidation.
OK.
Yeah.
I mean, Jonathan,
Get my words out.
I kind of come back to that there, really, which is that we're constantly told that, oh, gosh, you know, it's a bit of a myth, really, that we have things like, you know, random foreign men from Iraq and other countries hanging around local primary schools. I mean, that area there, I think you obviously, I hope you kind of got the gist of it from that report there. You know, there's a housing estate, there's a park, there's a primary school. You know where the primary school is. Why are you just walking around looking at school railings like that?
Well, look, this goes back to the very thing that Baroness Casey in her own audit of grooming gangs came out with, which is more and more cases that are coming before the police are involving illegal migrants who have entered this country via small boat. And obviously we don't know if their names are indeed the ones that they accurately give. We don't know if their ages are indeed the ones that they've accurately given, because, of course, very sadly, this Labour government chose to axe scientific testing, something that I was pushing for when I was in Parliament. We should be unashamedly trying to get proof when we've seen ridiculous scenes of men with beards sitting in school classrooms in recent years as well, which is utterly shameful. And
I just say immigration went up massively under the Tories, and you know, the asylum hotels have actually.
I don't defend the Conservative record. I'm absolutely appalled and ashamed at how poor the Conservatives were on this issue. I think, well, to Susie's point, when she goes about the BNP, the flag, I get angry about that because no one owns the flag. The flag 100%. Is the flag of this nation, and so just because a few mindless morons might try and somehow hijack it for their own agenda doesn't mean that it should be represented by everyone else.
I just want to make another point as well, which is that for people to say that, like, the local area and local law enforcement, you know, aren't aware of any problems there, they are, because when the school run took place, which it did, which obviously we didn't film for the pretty blindingly obvious reason, you don't film kids leaving school, do you? 2 police officers turned up. So 2 police officers turned up, parked at the asylum accommodation, walked down from the asylum accommodation and stood guard of the kids leaving the school. So that's not normal, is it? So if there wasn't an issue there, why do you do that?
You know what that tells me? It tells me we haven't learned the lesson from the rape gangs.
Yep.
We heard for decades and decades that politicians, police officers, the media ignored this stuff because of cultural sensitivity, because they were afraid they may be called racist. That tells me we still haven't learned that lesson. The only other thing I would say on this is it still comes back to this misguided belief that all cultures are somehow equal. Like, we now have the data to say that that sexual assault crimes are disproportionately represented by people coming from third world countries. Even if you don't believe that data, surely we can all agree that if you come from a country which is a third world country which has different attitudes to women, you are more likely to bring those attitudes here. And surely that is common sense.
And that's one of the reasons why I think a lot of those locals might be thinking that they should have the flag up, because it's a reminder for the people, Susie, who've just arrived here and just been put in some of that accommodation, who might come from countries and cultures where it is more commonplace to have maybe different attitudes, especially towards women and girls, that you are actually in Britain now and we have certain laws, norms and values.
Yeah, look, you know, like I've already said, I've got no problem with people flying the flag. I like it. You know, I love this country. I think we live in a great country. We're very privileged to live in this country. But also part of what makes us great as a country is actually we're a fairly peaceful country. And what I don't want, what I'm saying. I don't know if you guys remember, you probably didn't come to the Isle of Dogs in the 90s, but I remember it as a kid. I remember what it felt like, even as a white person, with that level of intimidation. And I don't ever want us going back there. So what I'm saying is the extremes are not good. You don't want the extremes.
What did you think when you saw the... I don't know if we might be able to play it as what we call VOV, the lads there that were walking towards the school gates, etc. What was your initial thought when you kind of...
Oh, no, you just saw the two boys going to... Oh, yeah, obviously, that's very problematic. 100%. 100%. But we're talking about two different things here.
No, but it comes back to the issue, Patrick.
I mean, it's hard to know, obviously, whether they're just walking past, whatever. But, you know, again, if it was my kid going to that school, I think it's fair enough for parents to have concerns.
Yeah, and do you worry that we've maybe slightly imported a bit of this? Like, I mean, they are... I mean, we're literally having their sense, I suppose.
So I think this is the reason why, look, and I've said this time and time again on this programme on GB News, we need to have controlled immigration. You know, this is the reason why Keir Starmer and Yvette Cooper are saying the hotels that the Tories opened, we want to close them. You know, we want to deal with the immigration that went up under them.
I mean, I would remind Susie that hotel use has actually gone up under Labour by 8%, so there's over 30,000.
Yes, but it's also, the 14 years of Tories...
And actually the Labour Council in Stoke-on-Trent campaigned against me trying to get the North Stafford Hotel.
By the time of the end of this election, those numbers are going to come down. We all agree those numbers need to come down.
Let's get back to the critical point here. Yes, Will is absolutely correct. We have got people, particularly young men, fighting-age men with medieval attitudes toward women and girls, imported into this country with their third world attitudes towards those women and girls, putting them in danger and safety. Baroness Casey herself is pointed out, and there's nothing wrong with people wanting to make that point loud and clear. And as for those people putting up the Union flag and St George flag, those are the only flags that should be flying in this country. It's a unifying factor. I don't want to see lots of other flags flying all over the place, because ultimately this is Britain. I'm sick to the back teeth of seeing this Palestine flag flying, which is a political symbol designed to deliberately oppress the Jewish race in this country, as well as anyone who supports the case of Israel, and enforce intimidation on our streets.
All right, but I just think, you know, people can keep turning a blind eye to it for as long as they want, but we were hanging around there for not a particularly long period of time when the exact thing that locals said they were worried about happened. And, you know, we happened to be filming. I spotted it out the corner of my eye. We tried to get the camera there as quickly as possible. And, you know, you can see it. And for anyone who says, oh, it's just a snapshot, just slow it down. You can see them looking through the railings, hanging around there for a bit. There's nothing else down the alleyway. It's a primary school. Why would you just walk down... Anyway.